Joining me now is my friend Darryl Cooper. He's one of the sharper, more interesting guys I have encountered in this business. He's the co-host of the Unraveling Podcast, also does the Martyr Made Podcast, which I love, and you can find him on Twitter at Martyr Made. Darryl, first and foremost, we have all this tension right now between Russia and Ukraine, and I'm trying to untie all these knots in my mind. But you have a Biden family that is firmly entrenched in Ukraine. All this scummy-looking corruption in Ukraine. We have troops going over to Ukraine, and I'm sorry, brother. Maybe I've seen too many movies. All this stuff stinks to me.
Yeah, we've sort of made an art. The regime's kind of made an art out of. Their whole strategy is sort of keeping people from pointing out and saying things that are perfectly obvious, like the fact that we have to say, that it's sort of that we have to two sides of the issue of the Biden family's corruption in Ukraine is really ridiculous. I think we don't have evidence. We have proof that they were engaged in something that could probably compromise them. And these are the people who are running policy there. As far as the overall issue in Ukraine, I mean, it reminds me of an old Polish joke that I heard, but I hear they tell it in Ukraine too, about Poles and Russians and the relationship they have with each other. And Ukrainians tell this joke as well. And it goes something like this. You got this old Ukrainian farmer out in his field one day. Let's say his name's Pavel, and he's digging around and he finds himself an old magic lamp. And so he cleans it up and a genie pops out. And he says, well, I have a genie here. Does that mean I get 3 wishes? And the genie says, absolutely. My wish is your command. And so Pavel thinks about it for about 2 seconds and says, aha, I know what I want. I want the Chinese army to invade and destroy Ukraine. And the genie says, well, gosh, I never gotten that one before. But, I'm your slave. I have to do it. And so within a few minutes, you got smoke and fire on the horizon and explosions. And then you got tanks and troops and jets. Chinese jets just come in and destroy Kiev, destroy the entire country of Ukraine. And Pavel couldn't be happier. He's just got a big smile on his face, and the Chinese army retreats back to the east. Says, all right, it's time for your second wish. And Pavel goes, no question. I want the Chinese army to come back and destroy Ukraine again. And the genie's like, I might have a little bit of an insane person on my hands, but your wish is my command. So here we go. Chinese army, same thing. Boom, crash, destroy, death and destruction. They go back to the east, and finally it's time for the third wish. And Pavel doesn't hesitate. He says, do it again, run it back. And so the genie says, look, man, you're the boss. I got to do whatever you say. But what's going on here? Do you just hate your country? You just hate Ukraine? Pavel's shocked. He says, well, I love Ukraine. Are you kidding me? I love Ukraine more than anything. My parents died for this country. He says, well, then I got to ask, what's with having the Chinese army come and destroy the place 3 times? He says, for them to come from the east to destroy Ukraine 3 times, they have to go through Russia 6 times. And I've told that joke to a few Ukrainians and Poles, and they've either heard it or got it really, really quickly. The point is, there's 1,000 years of generational history between these two countries, between the Visegrad Group in general, the whole Eastern European region, and Russia. And there's a lot of deep hatreds. There's a lot of deep feelings going in many, many different directions. And the idea that we're going to come from the other side of the planet and come in and regulate that situation, we're going to get into the middle of that. We've done that before. We tried that with Sunni and Shia in Iraq. We tried it with North and South Vietnamese, in that time. We go and we insert ourselves into these situations where we have really no historical context, no real deep commitment, which I promise you Russia does have to what happens in Ukraine. And then we get surprised when we get sucked down into the muck with the parties that are already fighting and have to sort of deal with that on a level that we're not prepared for. So hopefully it doesn't go that way.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the first on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.